Hi everybody, I hope you're doing well today on this beautiful Friday. We have just a couple weeks left in the class and I wanted to um, talk to you just a little bit about your final projects and a couple questions that I've gotten. One of those has to do with the CSS that you are writing for your websites. Um, and I know I've mentioned this before, but I want to point out that W3 Schools has some really helpful resources for implementing CSS that will work for whatever your specific needs are. So um, I want to point out that there are differences between the CSS syntax that you use for HTML elements. So for example, this paragraph for IDs, which allows you to set an ID for a specific element. So say you have several paragraphs, but you want one paragraph to stand out. You could set the paragraph ID equal to something like unique or whatever, and that would allow you to change the style just for that paragraph. So here's an example of that with CSS. You can see over here on the left-hand side, we have our usual, HTML statement, and then here we have this hashtag or pound sign, PARAL, and then we have our style within that. And if you look over here on the right-hand side, we can see Hello World is in red. And then if we look down to our HTML, we can see that we've set the paragraph ID to PARAL, which matches what we've done with our CSS. So we've set a paragraph ID to Hello World, but then this other paragraph isn't affected by the style. And if we were to add another paragraph, we would have the same result, right? So this paragraph isn't affected either. But let's say, we set another ID to unique, and then we'll say color blue, text align center. Okay, so pretty similar to that example. And then we'll set this paragraph ID as equal to unique. And then if we run that, you'll see that, oh, this paragraph is affected now because we have assigned an ID to that paragraph. So that's how IDs work. You would use those when you only have one item or one section that you want to stand out from the rest. So these are used for unique situations. Similar, but can be applied to multiple sections in your HTML is the class option. So you can set a class attribute for HTML elements that will allow you to apply style to elements in that class. So, say for each of your HTML pages you have, specific headings that you want to look a certain way. Well, you can set the CSS class to apply that style to each of the headings across all of your HTML pages. So that's really useful. It works the same way, but you'll see here, we have paragraph class is equal to center large. So that refers to two classes, which is a little bit more complicated, but you can see here how you can apply classes in much the same way that you would with IDs. So CSS or W3 Schools has examples of how all this stuff works, and I highly recommend if you're having issues with getting your style to show up for some stuff, but it's working for other stuff, look at W3 Schools and see if that can help you troubleshoot a little bit. Please reach out to me if you have questions about it. Oftentimes just having somebody else look at your syntax and see, okay, well, there's a typo here, or these two sets of CSS are kind of conflicting with each other, which is causing them to not work or to not work in the way that you want them to. And then finally, I wanted to show you a couple examples from previous classes for students who created some good websites, but just to give you a better idea of how, kind of like what I'm looking for, to show you that you're not trying to do something super crazy and advanced. You're just trying to create a functional website. So here's one example from last semester. You can see it's fairly simple. This student has used a basic navigation menu syntax, I believe from W3 Schools. Green background, green border, little basic resume stuff, hobbies, a contact page. So, there's not a ton of content here, which is okay, but the structure is really good. It's very simple, and it's functional, right? So it's responsive when you change the screen size and so on. Okay, so here's another example. You can see here the student has a resume, a little bit more resume, some skills, and then some creative endeavors. So you can see, again, very simple and straightforward. All the pages follow the same format. So you've got the photo, and then you have a block of text, right? Okay. Here's another example. The student has a home page, and then you can click on their professional site or their creative site. They've got a resume set up here, a contact me page with little buttons that you can click on, and then this cover letter option, which has a little pop-up. It's kind of cute, and then it has a cover letter. So that is her website, and she has a creative site as well. And then I really like this example because it's kind of different from what we've seen so far. But the student has set each of these images to be clickable. So you can click and then get to each of the pages. They've got a little drop-down menu which uses JavaScript. It's a little code you can grab from, I believe it's W3 Schools as well. But you can click on each of those. And there's more options down here. I really like how colorful this one is. This person definitely, they're graduating this semester. They want to be a youth services librarian. So this is a perfect website for her. And then finally, the student did a really nice job creating this icon. And then, again, overall, it's a very simple website, right? A very simple navigation menu at the top. Just some simple changes to the background and the font. Nice little CV button there. A portfolio of recent projects the student's been involved in. So I think this is particularly useful if, I know you'll have your technology tutorials, but if you want to add something else that you've been working on that's, maybe more relevant to what you do, this would be a great way to do that. Because, in library school, particularly when you're looking for a job, you might not have a ton of experience, but, the projects that you work on throughout the program are designed to build you toward those professional positions. And so there's no reason not to highlight those on your website, right? So definitely use this space to continue to build on that. And then there's a contact me page as well. So these are just a few examples that I thought were good examples of simple websites that successfully implement HTML and CSS. These pages are responsive to changes in the browser size. They're easy to view, easy to navigate, and that's what we're looking for. So try not to think about this as super complicated. Definitely use use the responsive web design lab as an example to go from there. And definitely please just reach out if you have questions or post in the forums. I've seen some really great responses from students to questions that others may have. So hang in there. We just have a couple weeks left, and looking forward to see what you create with your websites.